San Francisco has one of the most diverse and historic public transit systems in the country. From our famous cable cars, invented right here more than 150 years ago, to our large fleet of historic streetcars from across the world, rail transit is ingrained in our city's past, present, and future. With 6 light rail lines, 3 cable car lines, and 1 historic streetcar route, the Muni network is one of the most diverse and storied in the nation. But how did it come to be? How did the horse and cable-powered lines of the early 19th and late 20th centuries become the network we know today? And how did we manage to preserve so much transit history? In this video, we want to tell you the story of rail transit in the city by the bay. Street railways in San Francisco began over 150 years ago, in 1860, when the first horse-drawn carriage line opened down Market Street. Although these early horse car lines were effective, if slow, on the city's flat streets, they couldn't climb San Francisco's famously steep hills, limiting expansion of the network. However, in 1873, a businessman named Andrew Halliday pioneered a new technology, the cable car. As opposed to horse cars, which ran slowly under the power of a single horse, cable cars moved by gripping onto a long cable that ran underneath the street. This innovation allowed Halliday's cable cars to run up SF's steepest hills, and they proved to be a great success. By 1889, San Francisco had a total of 8 cable car companies running lines all across the city. However, just as soon as cable cars expanded across the city, they were eclipsed by another superior technology, the streetcar. Electric streetcars, also known as trolleys or trams, collect power using an electrified overhead wire that runs above the track. A long arm, called a trolley pole, extends from the roof of the streetcar and comes into contact with the overhead wire, providing power to the streetcar. While streetcars couldn't climb the steep grades Halliday's cable cars could, they were much faster and more efficient on level ground. This, along with the larger carrying capacity of streetcars, led to a streetcar boom in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. In 1893, a group of streetcar enthusiast businessmen took over Market Street Railway, one of the largest cable car operators in San Francisco. They promptly began converting the majority of the company's cable car lines into streetcar operation. By 1902, when all of the private railway companies were consolidated into a new operator called United Railroads, the system contained 166 miles of streetcar track and 56 miles of cable. In 1912, after more than 60 years of solely private street railway operation in San Francisco, the first government-owned big city transit system in the country opened, with a streetcar line down Geary Street. The establishment of the municipal railway, often shortened as Muni, was an attempt by the city government to drive competition and improve service on the streetcars. It underwent a rapid expansion program in the first few years of its existence. In 1918, the Twin Peaks Tunnel opened, running under its namesake hills and connecting Market Street with growing suburbs south and west of downtown. As part of the project, Muni constructed another pair of streetcar tracks on Market Street. This made it one of the most important and busy streetcar corridors in the nation. At its peak, streetcars on 20 different lines ran down Market Street at some point. This period of streetcar dominance, however, would soon be threatened. Throughout the next couple of decades, the Market Street Railway struggled. The rise of the automobile in the 40s and low Muni fares caused a number of unsuccessful merger attempts by the two railways, until in 1944, when Muni finally bought the Market Street Railway. As car culture continued to rise, streetcars across the country closed and were converted to buses. Muni streetcar lines A, B, C, and D, which ran along Geary Street to various destinations in the Richmond district, closed in the 50s. Today, the only remaining legacy streetcar lines are the J, K, L, M, and N, a mere fraction of the dozens of lines that ran at the system's peak. While streetcars on Muni's J, K, L, M, and N lines continued to run into the 1970s and 80s, as the city and the country began to pay more attention to funding public transit, the decision was made to convert all of the streetcar lines to light rail. In the U.S., the term light rail is generally used to denote streetcars or trolleys that have been sped up by running underground or in separate rights-of-way. In San Francisco, the light rail conversion entailed building a new subway underneath Market Street to speed up travel times downtown, and the purchase of brand new light rail vehicles LRVs for short, from airplane manufacturer Boeing. In 1980, the Market Street subway opened, burying the J, K, L, M, and N lines under Market Street from Castro Street to the Ferry Building. By 1982, all of Muni's streetcar lines had been converted to full-time light rail operation. This light rail conversion was supposed to bring about the end of historic streetcar service in San Francisco. The old streetcars, constructed from the 30s to the 50s, were at the end of their useful life in regular commuting service and would likely have been scrapped, save for one special event. In late 1982, as the new Boeing LRVs were taking over regular Muni service, the agency ran a historic special to commemorate its retiring fleets. Car number 1, which was the first ever streetcar driven on Muni trackage when the Geary lines opened in 1912, and car number 178, a 1914 original Muni streetcar, ran weekend service on the J Church line. This, along with the closure of the cable cars for maintenance, inspired a citizen-led initiative in which Rick Lobsher and Maurice Klebold worked together with SF Mayor Dianne Feinstein to establish a temporary historic streetcar line running down Market Street in the summer. In the next few years, after Feinstein approved more funds to the project, a historic streetcar fleet was put together. Special cars from all around the world, like the boat tram from Blackpool, England, and a W-class tram from Melbourne, Australia, were restored into operating condition. In 1983, the first trolley festival was inaugurated with special historic streetcar service down Market Street. Visitors could ride all kinds of unique cars on a 3.5-mile route from the Transbay Terminal, now Salesforce Transit Center, to 17th and Market. The first festival was a great success, and even though the cable cars returned in '84, it was held every year through 1987. On the back of this success and increased interest in historic streetcars garnered by the festival, a permanent historic streetcar line opened on Market Street in 1995. Called the F Market, it ran PCC streetcars from the 1930s to 50s, from downtown to the Castro. In the year 2000, the F line was extended along the Embarcadero to Fisherman's Wharf, becoming the F Market and Wharves. Today, the line still runs historic PCC cars from the Castro, down Market Street and the Embarcadero, to the Ferry Building and Fisherman's Wharf. A product of streetcar conservation efforts across the long history of San Francisco, it is a testament to the impact of historic transit in our city. From the trolley festivals in the 80s to the F-Line today, a big driving force behind streetcar preservation has been a nonprofit called Market Street Railway. While having no actual relation to the many previous incarnations of the Market Street Railway, MSR takes on the storied name as a way to honor streetcar companies of years past. MSR, which was founded in 1977, is a nonprofit dedicated to preserving and educating about the history of streetcars in San Francisco. As well as our rolling museum of historic streetcars on the F-Line, we have a small museum location right next to the Ferry Building at Don Chi and Steuart Streets. The museum is free for everyone and includes exhibits about SF Transit history, a gift shop, and a life-size mock-up of a streetcar from 1911. As well as year-round exhibits in the museum, we also co-host the yearly Muni Heritage Weekend in mid-September. A successor to the trolley festivals back in the 80s, Heritage Weekend is a celebration of all things historic transit. Special exhibitions and sales are hosted right outside our museum, and unique historic streetcars and buses from all over the world are available to ride for free. You can ride the boat tram from Blackpool, England, a W-class tram from Melbourne, Australia, Muni Car Number 1, and many more. While Heritage Weekend boasts extra special historic rides, Muni operates Heritage Transit year-round. Along with the aforementioned F-Line, 3 surviving cable car routes, the Powell-Hyde, Powell-Mason, and California lines run up and down the hilly streets of North Beach and Chinatown. During the summer months of late May through early October, you can take a special cable car service called the Hyde Ride, which runs from Hyde Beach and loops around at Chinatown instead of continuing to Powell and Market. It uses a special fleet of cars, most notably car Big 19, the oldest operating rapid transit vehicle in the world. All Muni transit lines, from regular buses and light rail to century-old streetcars and cable cars, can be paid for in a number of different ways. Clipper cards, which are also valid on all other Bay Area transit agencies, can be purchased through a physical vending machine or on your phone. These cards are reloadable and work on every mode of transit Muni offers. Contactless pay apps like Apple Pay and Google Pay can also be used to pay directly from your credit card. Finally, if you want to get the most bang for your buck when you're traveling around the city, the day passes are a great option. For more information, you can visit Muni's website at sfmta.com/fares. It's been a long journey, but through multiple conservation and restoration efforts, historic transit in San Francisco is here to stay. Thanks to organizations like MSR and Muni, the transit vehicles and lines that shaped our city's story are still operating, for everyone to ride. Not only is public transportation a lifeblood for many San Franciscans, it's a way for locals and visitors alike to experience and learn about the streetcars, cable cars, and everything in between that made SF the world-class city it is today.